that climb in the very last week. We are ready to go into this one.
Yep, and Aurelia, no surprise there, banned away by Golden Guardians. 3-0 on the champion is Piglet, so it's good to see that taken off the table. Cassio, another huge pick for Huni, who is 2-0 on the champion. And having shown how good they are on these champions, they're now getting banned out, really. And I think until Clutch can show that they have other picks that are kind of this similar style that they can also win on, these are going to remain permabans. So it's up to Clutch to prove, hey, we have these other mages, we have these other aggressive bot laners that we can play the similar style and have similar performances on.
And interestingly, Golden Guardians picking the exact same 3 bans that Liquid levied against them yesterday. Very similar stuff out of the Clutch Gaming side as well versus Golden Guardians here. Well, Lissandra was successful over against Huni in the top lane when he played Ryze just yesterday. Impact had a pretty decent game there. Then we'll see Golden Guardians hovering over the Karthus that they've been known to pick up some wins on, but not just yet. Looks like Rek'Sai will be their first pick, and they'll grab a second one soon after.
Yeah, so Rek'Sai coming through. I'll be interested to see what Keystone contracts actually elects to go for. Have been seeing some Hail of Blades, have been seeing Press the Attack, Conqueror still in there, even Electrocute showing up. So a lot of different options, but it is a very strong jungler, and we know this is going mid lane very likely now for Froggen. You would say Karthus can be flexed to jungle, but not when the Rek'Sai is there, and I'm not expecting this to go bot lane for Deathly or anything crazy like that. So a bit of a blind Karthus here, which could be considered fairly risky, seeing as Lissandra could go top, and there are matchups which can be pretty difficult here for the Karthus.
Yep, Froggy seems to say that he can match all of them. So Nocturne going to be joining the fray. Of course, that spell shield quite good against Requiem if something goes down elsewhere, and also it means side lane pressure. We've been kind of talking about Huni being someone who's got to kind of lift the burden here for Clutch Gaming. He's got to be one of the carries, and Nocturne, of course, is very good at going to side lanes, keeping people alive, so could be really valuable here. Both supports grabbed out with Alistar and Tahm Kench.
It's very interesting, and I'm not even sure if Demonte will be willing to play this on stage because it is such a risky pick, but I have heard of a lot of people saying that Kassadin is a very strong matchup into Karthus, having the Q magic damage shield, and then post 6 being able to actually jump in, assassinate him, and then get outside of the lay waste in that E zone. So not sure if they want to go for any extreme sort of counter pick, or if we're just going to see something fairly standard along the lines of an Orianna, as we have been seeing a lot
of course. I'll wait to see right now as a top laner ban is coming through on the Clutch Gaming side. I would feel, actually tell me how you feel about it. I feel like Lissandra could survive York pretty easily. AoE the ghouls and just jump out of the cage whenever she wants. So
I think it's a matchup that is harder for York in the early levels, but once you hit a cowl, I think you just don't care about Lissandra anymore, and you just can kind of start walking at her over and over. Maybe not in competitive plays. You have to give more respect to a jungler, but I do feel it's a fairly favorable matchup for the Yorick, once you're getting a little bit of itemization in there. But that being said, nothing has looked favorable for Yorick in the LCS. It's still winless. It, I believe, has not picked up a single game we're probably going on 8-10 plays at this point without a win.
Sure. Well, right now you're seeing more top lane bans coming through on the Clutch Gaming side, as they know Haunter has not picked his champion just yet. They've definitely a lot of space. And with only the Draven, Aurelia, and I guess you can say Jace banned away for bot lane champions, it's going to be Jinx picked up right here. Sorry, the Callisto, of course, a ban, but put out on their side so that they could grab the Jinx without getting bullied.
And Jinx has been looking really good in the LCS. Wild Turtle picked up a couple of wins. Apollo bringing it out yesterday and winning as well. Those are the only 3 games that I can think of. I do believe it has won all the games it has been brought out in. A lot of these games are going late in the LCS, and Jinx certainly is a monster at that point in the game. But even yesterday, Jinx being played into Vayne, who is admittedly one of the weaker laners, we did see Apollo get a significant CS advantage and has been able to utilize the range advantage to be able to get a lot done. That being said, there's a ton of dive on this comp. You have Lissandra, Nocturne, Alistar, everyone flying in. If you get caught out by those members, if Tahm Kench is not there to perfectly protect you, the Jinx could die in a hurry.
Well, thankfully that Tahm Kench is going to be around. They're going to do their very best to keep her alive. And Golden Guardians, do you believe it? It's a team fight comp here. Jinx with Tahm Kench in the bot lane, keeping her alive. Ornn for top. It's a team fight comp, buddy. I know it's to be true. And of course, still some early pressure is there. You've got the Rek'Sai, who I think is a very good early game jungler. I believe should be able to do the Nocturne. I think you can actually just tunnel away from the fear and go fast enough away that you won't keep that tether alive. And Demonte on a very signature pick here in this Syndra is going to do his best to try to beat up on Froggen's blind pick Karthus.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like really a lot of scaling here on the Golden Guardians side. I do think that when you're picking Jinx, Karthus, Ornn, you're looking to go late. Ornn adding even more scaling potential there for the Jinx, for the Karthus, being able to add in those upgraded items once you're getting to those later levels, 13, 14, 15, etc. You can be upgrading the items of your teammates, and that is going to be very powerful at that stage. I do think that there is more ability in the earlier stages to try to force their will on their opponents, though, on the side of Clutch Gaming, with Lissandra, with this Syndra, as well as the Nocturne, essentially post 6. There's a lot of engaged potential, a lot of ability to catch people out inside lanes and try to play around, splitting up this squad instead of just, engaging into a 5v5 where you're expecting the Golden Guardians comp to shine.
Well, let's see if that does happen, or if the side lane pressure can come through here. Lots of high damage output. Almost any one of these champions you can carry. The Lissandra, the Syndra, or the Kai'Sa can be really, really huge threats here. Golden Guardians very frontline focused with dual backliners of Deathly and Froggen, a comp that I think suits them and their play style quite well. We saw again yesterday Golden Guardians misstepping, being a little bit too aggressive, especially in that bottom lane, and Ole got himself caught out. We want to see those kinds of mistakes turned around. Keep in mind, last time these teams met, it was Ole going for Ornn charges against Piglet and Vulcan and getting punished time and again by that Alistar. If those mistakes can be cleaned up, Golden Guardians can look pretty good here, moving up to 7 wins if they can take it.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. It is going to be Conquer starting up here for the Rek'Sai, so that does answer that. Will be some nice burst early on. We do
have a sideline report with Avli and Anero. Please take it away.
Thanks, Freak. Anero, Golden Guardians had a pretty tough loss against TSM yesterday. So how are you guys going to bounce off and take today's game against Clutch?
Yeah, so yesterday, there's always that risk when you're doing these things. It's like the innate thing of you're picking to scale and go late, that if a team picks early and plays well, they're going to beat you. And everyone goes in knowing that that's a possibility, and you're hoping the other team doesn't do it. They did it, so good on them. Like, I'm actually really impressed with what TSM did yesterday, and I have a lot of respect for them doing that and performing with it. So for us, we knew that was a risk going in, and we took it. It failed, and that's something we have to accept. So we're moving on. It's not like a super hard Lars for us or anything.
Well, thank you, and best of luck to you guys today. Back to you guys.
So giving a lot of respect over to TSM and their ability to play early, but here we are again on Sunday. Golden Guardians certainly drafting for late once again. We will see if Clutch is the team to kind of turn up the pace on them once more and try to close it out.
And to Anero's credit, I do think that both TSM and Clutch have been teams where I think their late game has been sort of questionable. In North America and overall League of Legends has been a bit slower to close out games, and so it is a good region to try to scale for late because right now teams haven't been closing things out. So Golden Guardians attacking their local meta in a way that I think you actually want to use the phrase metagame. The LCS's metagame is a bit slow, and so keying into that I think is pretty smart, and we'll see. So far Golden Guardians in their second year in the LCS are in playoff position. Tied for 5th right now. Junglers might be fighting pretty soon as Contracts and Lyra spot each other. Spite Bite coming through, one more auto attack, and it's gonna go over, but the Fear's gonna come across, and Lissandra here as well. Cinder finds the stun. A lot of damage coming out there, not a way out. First blood goes over to Lyra.
Yeah, Contract's so focused on if he could take the scuttle that he wasn't thinking about if he should take the scuttle. All the solo lanes are collapsing. That is a very risky play to go for. He commits to it, he does get it, but it's first blood over, it's red buff over. You can see Syndra is roaming, you can see Lissandra is roaming. This was in vision of the Golden Guardians, but Contracts is fully committed to it, and to his credit, he wouldn't have the E, so he would have had to just try to flash out over the wall immediately, but that may have been the play that he should be going for, and now, putting himself in a bit of a tough spot, giving that first blood already over to Lyra is going to be a nice advantage for them.
Does let Contract save his flash. Maybe next time around he'll get away from it. Also want to point out that Froggen, what's the most Froggen thing you would do if your mid laner runs over? You take the enemy Raptors. Froggen took the small Raptors away from Lyra during that fight. He's got some extra CS, a little bit extra gold. Thank you, observers. Froggen did that. That is the most Froggen thing I have ever seen. And so Lyra's going to be like, wait, where'd my chickens go?
I mean, Froggen is a player that I think is very much about guaranteed advantages, right? And it is a smart way to play the game. There is some inherent risk every time you go for a gank or you try to go and match that 3v3 fight. If you can do that and not have there be any danger, hey, that is a guaranteed small edge that you are going to get. And that is one of the reasons that Froggen is so consistent in the late game, is that he always takes these small advantages. He always tries to maximize farm, and thus when he's playing scaling champions, he's going to be a monster in those later game stages. But something we haven't had a chance to talk about just yet is the fact that Huni is actually playing Klepto Lissandra. So we are seeing a lot of this on champions such as Vladimir. We are seeing this on, even Victor Top when that was pretty popular, but not a lot on Lissandra because people are so into going Aftershock. It makes you so much more tanky when you are playing this pseudo frontline style. So Huni will be a lot more squishy. When he's diving into the backlines, he can be focused down. If you are going for an offensive ultimate, you're very vulnerable to just being burst out yourself. So he is going to be getting more gold in these early stages and kind of escalating his scaling on that regard, you know, farming off of Hanser. But we'll see if it pays off later on in these team fights.
Yeah, of course, be a little bit hard to track. We'll do our very best. Maybe he gets the stopwatch he wouldn't have had otherwise, or a Zonya's off he wouldn't have gotten regardless. And look for that one as Lyra stops by a ward, and Froggen should definitely know he's around, taking as long as he possibly can, tanks a Q, and makes Lyra walk into a lay waste on the way out. So yeah, 80 damage is only penalty for that. Good enough for him. And did see, of course, earlier on that Contracts had invaded very aggressively. We saw him get the bottom scuttle. We saw him take the bottom side Krug camp away, so unperturbed by the first blood, and having his flash still up meant he felt safe to invade, and did so pretty well. Ole taking some damage, looks for a trade back in a Piglet, not going to land the Tongue Lash. And it's a pretty equal bot lane. Plus 5 CS to the Golden Guardian side. They have had the push lead, and some of that is they felt safe because of Contracts pushing into that bottom side. Lyra taking some revenge chickens, but otherwise still fairly close on gold and items for the two junglers.
I think it'll be interesting to see if anyone wants to make that early move. That was, yeah, really nice.
Will they flash? He's going to go for the flash. Lots of damage here, but Demonte's going to be out of range of Froggen now. And there will be flash for flash, but that's a trade usually you're willing to take as the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, definitely the case as well. They got out the heal, right? So it is the 2-for-1 summoners. It is the jungler expending his. And this is going to give them that mid lane priority. So we may see Rek'Sai just starting up that early Ocean, which would be massive if he can get this. His bot lane is pushing. They have mid lane prio. This is a pre-6-minute Ocean Dragon, which helps out your laning phase so much, especially, you know, for someone like Hanser, where you are going to be on the back foot in those early stages in a tank into ranged matchup. You're just going to be able to regen through.
Okay, jumping forward, they're going to fear him, but the W is going to make him a tanky for a little while, but there's the root, has to flash away, just gets 6 there as Hanser, as he runs away. Now the ult to do some damage and a wave clear, takes the other half somewhere else. That seemed like a misclick, but
yeah,
off it goes, and he's going to lose some of this wave. He has to run back and maybe TP back to lane.
Maybe redirected that onto the minimap by accident. That might have been a minimap click or something along those lines. I think that ult was going to be for wave clear. I'm not really sure why he would have actually pulled it off. You know, even if Lyra has spell shield up or something like that, it doesn't really matter if you hit him.
Yeah.
But Contract's moving up, trying to back him up, and it will be flashed down for Hanser, but as I said, when you have Ocean as a tank, you can actually stick back under the turret. You can absorb all the harass and just regen it up in between waves. And it gets to a point where Lissandra is not going to be able to push you out whatsoever. So that's going to come a lot more early than it otherwise would.
And right now, they're instead pushing for the jungle instead, as Hanser's still going to pull his recall off, and a TP comes back into mid lane for Froggen. The fear comes in, and the red buff will be stolen. So though they don't kill Hanser or get more than his ult and his flash, they do get to take the red buff away, and that's more penalty to give over. Level 5 on Nocturne to the 4 of this Rek'Sai, and they've put Contracts down a little bit. Still flashes on the Rek'Sai, trading that summoner with the mid laner. Looking to get the red buff back now themselves, and you can see Demonte cheating down to this side of the map, but Ole's already here, so you can see the entire team coming over. They know what kind of invade is happening.
And Demonte has no summoners, so he can't really face check in here. You could definitely get taken down if you do so. So it will just be a trade of red for red, and you know, the pressure on the top side, exchange for the dragon on the bot side, and certainly unless Clutch can make much more of that, you know, and start getting kills or big farm advantages against Hanser, you are really going to favor taking that Ocean Dragon. It's going to be helping out all of these Golden Guardian members quite a lot. The next one will be an Ocean as well. I think it's certainly less important than the first, but still nice to be taking away from your opponents.
Okay, well, still turning resources back and forth. The game's still about 700 gold apart. First Blood being most of that, Klepto being a small bit of it otherwise, as most lanes are trading farm fairly equally. And in fact, the mid laner is going to be identical in numbers right here, 79. Froggen puts another Trinket Ward down and sees if he can take these chickens for himself. Demonte's going to spot him, but not going to stop him. So Froggen will now take an entire full chicken camp by himself. By the end of this one, yeah, beautiful. I know, he's farming on cards. This is peak Karthus right now. And speaking of peak play, headbutt pulverized onto the Jinx, but Tahm Kench doing his job and Wing a champion.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Golden Guardians think they're going to be very happy with how this game is going. You can see Huni on the minimap kind of cheating down towards mid lane. He is looking for a potential dive onto Froggen, but Froggen was playing towards the bottom side of the map, knowing that Lissandra is missing from the top side. He's going to play it safe, and nothing will come from it. So sitting here, it's actually Haunter in the tank versus carry matchup. He is the one up on farm. The Jinx is ahead on farm in the bottom lane as well. Your mid lane is farming even. I think they're going to be feeling very happy about their position in this game, and it certainly feels like it is more on Clutch to be the ones trying to push the pace, trying to utilize their playmaking, and Lyra now at 6 with this Nocturne, going to be looking for an opportunity to go in on the bot lane.
But of course, it's going to be hard if Ole has thick skin available, and of course, you can always chomp up the Jinx. They would have to go for the Tahm Kench, but maybe they can combo him down. They're going to try now towards the Jinx, but again, the headbutt pulverized onto the Tahm Kench, but still flat to get them to safety. Aborna Summoners on both sides here, and now the turnaround for Requiem. Jinx Rock is going to do a little bit of damage, but we can't get Rek'Sai in unless the Q lands, and it does not. So a trade of Summoners, trade of ults, no kills.
Vulcan, though, honestly, really well played by him, I do have to say. Going to actually knock Ole away there so that the ultimate can be more effective. And that goes from really something where maybe they would have just gotten Tahm Kench's flash to getting 4 summoners down from the bot lane. Heal flash, exhaust flash, all down from this Golden Guardians bot lane. So hopefully for Clutch, that will alleviate a little bit of the pressure that is coming in right now. As you can see, even 2 turret plates have fallen to the Jinx.
Yeah, that's going pretty well for them. And that bot lane, you can see the CS lead also growing. It's plus 17 with a wave to be killed, so maybe more like plus 10. But yeah, those 2 plates, certainly 160 gold apiece, certainly matters here. And they can see that poke going in towards Piglet, definitely playing around that rocket range. And again, always knows, as long as Ole's far away, he can take those shots. And if Headbutt Pulverize comes in, a quick Devour, and there's no problem at all. It's mana efficient. But if it wasn't a Tahm Kench, this was Leona, you can't make those kinds of plays.
Yeah, you certainly can, and I think they're utilizing it well. I also do like how they're using lethal tempo. One of the fun things you can kind of do with that Keystone is you land 1 rocket or 1 little bit of poke onto the champions, you back out of turret range, and then you can actually utilize that attack speed to get chip damage on the turret itself.
Big chunks of damage there. Piglet really pushed out, and that is, of course,
Rocket's
flash
almost
heal.
up. I don't know if it's going to come up before that recall finishes, but the ult is very close.
Yeah,
not quite.
In time, but infinite sustain, of course,
Just
quite
up now.
useful as well. Yeah. A couple seconds off from getting to at least force another recall. If not, maybe actually get the kill picked up. But a second pretty early Ocean Drake. Not nearly as valuable as the first, but still does matter, and it's even more sustained for these laners. You can even see that this Ornn is up in CS for top lane.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't push a tank out when they have an early Ocean. It negates all of your early laning advantage there for the Lissandra, and even you can see how Deathly is playing, how heavily he's utilizing Rocket Form. That is something that you can do for free with an Ocean Dragon. You're not going to run out. Whereas otherwise, you would certainly be running out of mana there much more frequently. So it's allowing him to play with safety, to get additional poke down on the champions, on the turret as well, with the additional range from the rockets. So Golden Guardians, I think, is making very good use of these neutral objectives that they have grabbed.
And the items are coming through right here. A finished Storm Razor for Piglet, which I very, very much disagree with. It is still gold inefficient by itself. Its stat profile's not bad. Both attack damage and attack speed are things that Kai'Sa cares about. Yes, the item did get buffed just back in either 9.5 or 9.4, but I think it's still a weak first item. But maybe I can be corrected here if it turns out to be really great. But it multiplies other Energizer effects. He's not even got fleet footwork. Meanwhile, though, Ole going to be found out back in his own jungle. The sun's going to land. Thick skin not going to mean too much. They should have the damage to kill him. He's going to let himself go ahead and drop down and die. Piglet on the board now, 2-0 Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, and they can make good on that earlier gank from Lyra where those summoners were forced out. Ole caught out by one of those wards. They spot him. He has no flash. He has no exhaust. No way out of there. So Piglet able to grab that early kill. And it's very interesting because I do agree Stormrazor is somewhat inefficient as a first buy, but it's getting a lot of popularity actually around the world as being picked up on these Kai'Sas. So here it is one more time. Ole spotted out. An easy kill there. No one in range to really help him. Froggen has just base jungler on the top side of the map. There's no reason for your Jinx to try to walk over and even help in that situation. So that's sometimes the price of playing support, but here comes the dive.
Flash engage, a ton of CC just layered in, and the ults come through. That's a kill, and sorry, Tahm Kench can't be there in time. 3-0 Clutch Gaming pulling the trigger in the mid game.
And that's a shutdown actually going over to the Syndra because it was a farm bounty that was on Froggen there. 450 gold shutdown. Gonna be grabbed up. He was farming so highly. Gonna get that extra bonus gold as a result. Nice roam there from Huni. That's the kind of proactive play you want to see them making. Every time Lissandra ult is up, every time Nocturne ult is up, these guys want to be looking for plays, shutting down the Golden Guardians, putting pressure onto them.
Okay, nice pickups right here, and you can see this game is now 700 gold ahead for Clutch, despite the turret plays, despite the laning phase advantage. Drake's turning into extra farm over time, but still a very close game, keep in mind, and I still think Golden Guardians have really solid scaling for these team fights later on. They're going to find an engage onto Piglet. Requiem there, can't even get the assist, so he's killed down too quickly in the flash. Looking for the knockup, and they're going to find a blast cone to the wall, but Vulcan is flashless. A headbutt buys a second, but it's certainly going to be Jinx picking up one. Definitely now on the board as well, and Golden Guardians back in the lead.
Yep, and they're pushing down on bottom lane. They could try to grab first turret there as Froggen is trying to rush against Huni to get it. That bottom lane turret is much lower, so you would expect this is theirs. If they give up first turret with contracts in the area, that would be pretty silly. It should be theirs, though. One more auto will do it.
450 over to Frog, and he's still feeling pretty rich on this one. The scaling continues. Rod of Age is already done. I do like the extra defense to survive a Syndra all in.
Yep, I think that's a really good way to point it out. You know, you have the stopwatch, you have the Roa, going to help you survive. And Contracts did a good job. He's actually spotting them with the Tremor Sense. You can see over the wall. That's why the Golden Guardians bottom lane is walking over here. Piglet walks straight into him. The TP already coming out from Hanser, so they are fully committing to this play. And despite the fact the second half of the ultimate doesn't hit, he's already been tagged for the slow and the assist, and they can donate this kill over to Definitely the correct target to give it to.
But an answer up in this side of the map with the top lane pressure. They got the Rift Herald. They shoved down the mid lane, and so the pressure still continues. And we still have a very, very close game between these teams. Clutch Gaming came in on the outside in and had a hard schedule, and they're doing the very best, but they're picking up a chance to win right here against Golden Guardians, the easiest of their remaining opponents, and would tie for 6th or 7th by doing so. GGS coming in, though, looking pretty solid this week. A rough loss to TSM, but they have control of their own destiny, and they can keep making this play forwards. They're both separating.
And you can see that Clutch is trying to posture for these aggressive plays, and their purchases are actually showing you that they want to play aggressively as well. Triple stopwatch bought up on the Clutch side for a lot of these playmakers, these guys that are going to try to get aggressive. They want to be able to dive in, utilize that stopwatch to go for an otherwise too risky dive where you can reset turret aggro or perhaps negate a Karthus ultimate coming in. These are things that are very, very effective early on, and they know they want to continue pushing. They want to continue to try to get the advantages where they can. Getting this Mountain Dragon would give them some additional access to the Baron later on, which could give them a way to close out.
Stolen to Lamonte, a Nocturne ult popped in. The TP cannot be canceled. Asana in the front line. Here comes the dive. They're going to pick up that Jinx, no problem. But the burst is going to find Contracts. 1 for 0 so far to Clutch Gaming. Demonte slowed down. Got a box out for the rocket. Nice by Vulcan to block this one out. Now the Hanser is in. Finds a knockup. Finds that kill. 1 for 1 in the team fight as they both lost the top lane or jungle champion, or I should say frontline champion overall. It was Rek'Sai and the Alistar. Will there be a re-engage? Not yet for Huni, and that claw's now on cooldown. Piglet clears a ward. Back to the 4-on-4. Still sitting around this river, though.
Double Ocean, though, helping GGS out here a lot. They're going to regen right back up, and now they're onto the Dragon, starting this up, but it's Clutch going.
Ole gets the shield. He's running low on health. So far staying alive. Watch out for the Mountain Drake. Health is going to be high enough, but look at the possible re-engage. Still a 4-on-4. Definitely shooting the Drake. Lets it reset. Recall's coming through. Again, the Ocean Drake mattering quite a lot.
Yeah, and Contracts now has respawned. He's running down. It looks like Clutch are making the call to give over the Dragon. So 3 straight Dragons going to be going the way of Golden Guardians, and they continue their march forward with these neutral objectives.
Okay, triple Drake right here, and the gold's still close. Makes you feel like Golden Guardians are coming out ahead of this one. Still going to farm on these big carry members. Still feels like any of these dives could work later on. Watch that fight again.
Yeah, here this is one more time. The TP coming in very early on there from Huni. He has to self-ult, though. Has to be very, very careful about getting burst out. Contracts, though, knocked up, interrupted there by Vulcan on what looked like would have been a tunnel from him. But Vulcan then, the flash knockup from Hanser onto him. They're able to trade back the kill. It is a disengage, though, that eventually does lead into another Mountain Dragon here for the Golden Guardians.
Hanser still saying his lane up against Huni, who sadly does not have that same mana regen anymore, and can have a harder time pushing him out, as you kind of mentioned, weathering the storm. And yeah, he's got MR now. He's got that Abyssal Mask and Merc Treads, and it looks pretty safe here for Hanser, going towards the Sunfire Cave next.
And he's already level 12, right? So, you know, a couple more levels, he's going to be starting to donate over these upgrades to his teammates. They are getting to that stage where you're going to see the Molten Edge coming through for Deftly, who's already on 2 items. He has his IE and Rapid Fire. And every time you throw in one of those upgrades, that's essentially around 1,000 gold worth of value getting tossed over to your team. So just reaching that late game stage, reaching those higher levels is going to be very, very big for Hanser.
And I do think we're in a state, you mentioned the Rapid Fire Cannon in for Jinx. I think we're actually in a state where the Zeal upgrades are all fairly comparable, and you can kind of pick the one you actually want. I think Rapid Fire is probably correct here. You're not hitting several melee champions at the same time, which lowers the Hurricane value. If you want to get shots off outside of Syndra ult range, you don't want to always have to rely on Tahm Kench. I think Thunderdancer could have been usable, but this is still good for its own reasons.
Yeah, and I always feel like against a fairly squishy team, being able to get the one-off rocket form rapid fire crit is very, very valuable. One of those onto a Syndra, one of those onto a Nocturne may actually completely discourage them from taking a fight, and that has a lot of intrinsic power itself. So it is at a pretty good state where it's very much, I think, flavor and kind of choosing for your playstyle. And I do think for Jinx, especially with Rocket Form, rapid fire makes a lot of sense.
You're going to see him just simply running around clearing in the mid lane wave. It makes it even easier to kill wards as well. It doesn't even consume the rapid fire buff. But Ole always sitting around babysitting. We've got Vulcan trying to clear the wards out, and feels safe enough to do so as these will drop off back and forth. Gives some time for Clutch Gaming to push up. You can see that aggressive Trinket ward. Huni walks in and sweeps into the other wards that might be around. We know that there's no vision now around this mid lane on the Golden Guardian side. And that makes it feel a little bit safer. Oh, they couldn't get that one in time. Second sweeper burn. There we go.
And you can see Piglet out in the side lane. They're trying to get enough farm out of this Kai'Sa. Hanzo looking for an engage.
Fell shielded though and dodged away. Nothing doing on that ultimate. Nice try by Hanzo, but gets absolutely nothing.
Honestly, even if he hits it and there's no spell shield, I think they get nothing from that. No one was even close enough to really follow up, so kind of a bit of wishful thinking there, but it's counter engage now.
Back on towards Ole, gonna get fear, but will they burst down the Tahm Kench? They're certainly gonna try and get the shield on. Gets a bit low, the stun to the back line. Karthus ults on as well. Lyra a bit low, still shields it, no problem. Rek'Sai comes in, stop with a stopwatch. 1-0 for the Cinder, play continues. Haunter at half HP, looking for the re-engage is Froggen. Down towards Vulcan. That's gonna be enough. Lays waste to the back line, and Lyra's at 5 HP. He's gotta keep running. Can they find him? There's no rocket, but is there a flash? Huni forced out from the file as well. It's again a 1-for-1 support for jungle, just like last time.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade, but it's a stopwatch as used by both Huni and Lyra as well as their flashes, so a more costly fight, I would say, for Clutch. Spending a lot of those resources. Lyra barely escaping. Was critical that he did get out with a good stopwatch and flash, though. Otherwise, definitely gets the reset, and I think that fight turns into a disaster as Jinx gets excited, and that move speed can mean a lot in the team fights.
And right there, double demolish support plus top laner. How fast that turret falls down. They get a turret for the 1-for-1.
Yep, so here this is one more time, straight in onto Olay, but he is able to get the gray health off, pops the thick skin, surviving there, and then actually watching over onto Lyra. Stopwatch is going to be used right here. The spell shield is used on the Karthus ultimate. He's sitting at so low health, gets a triumph heal, flashes over the wall, barely able to escape. One more auto would have done it from deathly. That probably gives him the speed up to maybe take down another member or two. But either way, still, Golden Guardians do trade kills. They get the turret. They take more resources from their opponents in that fight, and it's feeling to me like this game is moving more and more in the direction of Golden Guardians. As you can see those upgrades now coming through for Ornn. You hit 13, 2 of those upgrades now over onto Haunter. That's why he went for the Sunfire Cape there, and you can see right here, those two items.
Upgrades. Yeah, he's got to feel really good about this one. And so I agree with you that 5-on-5 team fighting looks really Golden Guardians' favorite, and they're at sort of their first wave of power spikes. But you've got still clutch players available, and I mean that in the sort of both versions of that word here. Nocturne can, of course, get to that side lane, and Damonte is 3-0 on a Cinder who can one-shot people if the right person's not around, so there's still playmaking to be had.
Yeah, and that's why I want to see Clutch trying to split the map, but Golden Guardians pulling them to these neutral objectives. This is not where they're going to be able to succeed.
Ornn comes across, no knockouts, the Mountain Draco's already dead. Now, will you fight without the Ornn ultimate, or will you give it up and go back to the mid lane? There's a wave on the tier 2 turret. Clutch could probably just rush that down and get some gold as payment for the Drake, and you can see them running over now. So with a sort of belated recall out of the Golden Guardian side, they should lose this turret. And honestly, tier 2 turret for Mountain Drake is a pretty reasonable trade. I'm not even sure that's a really positive for GGS.
Yeah, now Clutch can actually try to bait, or at least pretend they are going over towards that Baron pit. I do think that both teams need to start establishing vision around this Baron, especially with double mountain, double ocean on Golden Guardians. That means not only can you take poke from the Baron and heal that back up, you have the ability to really burn this down very quickly, not only with this 3-item Jinx, but Karthus, also one of the best champions at really shredding through the Baron, especially now with that Liandry's done. So they're going to have to be very, very careful, and you can see in this area, there's no wards at all for Clutch. They have nothing in that vision. And I think it's going to be really scary for them to kind of check over at that Baron area. Huni's down in the bot lane. He does have his TP available, but Golden Guardians could just start this and at least force the TP out of Huni.
And that forces the blue trinket out, so now round 2 is more difficult, because now what can you face check with? There's no Ashe. Nocturne's going to make it really difficult to do anything. No TF. Vulcan gets one ward, and he's definitely leaving, so that's enough for Clutch Gaming to feel safe. They can do more about this later on. Let's getting 3 men, but it's not, so they're just fine. Yeah, as you mentioned, the vision wasn't there. It was Golden Guardians who were able to reset first. Clutch took the turret, took the red buff, then recalled after, so they are second to the play. Froggy's going to push the team off, but again, with the wave clear in mid being very obvious, it gives time to knock these wards down. They're all visible, and Clutch can feel a little bit safer.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Golden Guardians didn't try to force the issue a bit. They did instead reset Haunter, send him down to the bottom lane. But I think in that situation, you can start the Baron, not with the intention of finishing it, but just with the intention of getting Huni's teleport out. Because then you can send Haunter down to the bot lane, and it's no longer parity. And here they go for the engage.
Once again, on to Tom Kent. They're going to find a little bit of something. It's going to be over the wall, goes early, but they got the re-engage on the other side of the map, and Contract finds the kill into Huni somehow, and this re-engage could be gorgeous for Golden Guardians. That's a second kill already. Piglet's trying in the back line, but the Zonias makes it really easy to stay alive, and Piglet gets hit yet again. Here comes the Requiem. Is he going to get away? The flash gets him some space, but Lyra's going to drop as well. 3 for 0. Golden Guardians have no spite to contest with. They can go right for the Baron.
Yeah, this is going to be a very easy Baron here for Golden Guardians. Huni, no Aftershock, not able to get a self-ultimate there. He just gets absolutely deleted after coming in on the TP. No Zhonya's even coming out. We'll have to see how he went down that fast, but Golden Guardians full control now. Baron buff secured, and you have to feel like it's their game to lose. So let's watch just one more time. It was a good ward dropped in the lane for that flank TP, and they're certainly setting up well for it. Looks like it's going to be a good engage. Very well timed on the Devourer right before he gets feared. Flash knockup over onto Huni. And he actually just straight up dies to Contract's ultimate, underestimating the damage that's going to be coming through. Did not self-ult, did not Zonia's. The resets come through. It's a full-on retreat for Clutch as Jinx gets excited and is going to chase them down. And then no spell shield available here for Lyra. Gets absolutely popped. Clutch got wiped in that fight. Wasn't even close.
Definitely got destroyed in this one. So it's even more onto Demonte to try to turn it around. Turns the Darksteel into a Magi Soul Stealer with the stacks he's got already. Can hope he can carry this when he does get out, but yeah, we are going to need a little bit more out of these players on Clutch Gaming side to turn this one around. As you're mentioning, Golden Guardians have complete control here. The gold lead 4,000. They've got 4 Drakes. They've got the Baron to help siege. Okay, that one gets abducted, and that siege is going to stop for a little while.
And Haunter should have an upgrade available for his team. He hasn't actually used it just yet, but could upgrade that. Huni maybe caught out here again.
Chompers not quite going to land. Actually, they weren't cast quite on him, so he's able to flash out of that and stay alive just barely. But still, mid-turret will fall. More of the base is falling apart.
And that's a 4v5, right? They have their Ornn in the bottom lane, and they are getting absolutely demolished here in the mid lane. Now one of their best engaged tools is gone. No Zonias, no flash on Huni. And Ornn is still, meanwhile, chugging down into that bottom lane, pushing it up, looking to try to knock down a turret himself. Golden Guardian's going to rotate down as a squad with this double cannon wave.
And that's not going to be the call that gets taken, so Golden Guardians now know that they cannot have to be afraid of this one. And 2 more shots comes in, down goes on the turret, onto the inhibitor. This should be given up now, as Hurricane's also done, and Huni chunked to half by Deftly's rockets. That's a quick pickup there. Bottom inhib is broken. Next Drake spawns in 18.
Yep, and it's going to be another Ocean, so triple Ocean, double Mountain. Going to be the Dragons that we will get on this one. Golden Guardians just going to head right over to mid lane, though. No reason to stop yet on this Baron power play. They haven't been tested whatsoever. You can see that Lyra and Vulcan trying to set up for a flank, but they've been spotted out by these wards, so Froggen just warding them off and trying to zone them out. Contract's working with him as well. Well, definitely just steps forward. Tom Kench behind him, Ornn in front of him. He's got so much protection and the ability to constantly siege and poke with those rockets.
Continue they will, as the Molten Edge has been upgraded by Ornn a second ago, so extra power spike coming in now for Deftly to be a slightly larger carry. And how can Clutch come in on this one? Still 40 seconds on the Baron buff, and Golden Guardians have not reset with their gold just yet. They're instead staying around. There's a route towards Ornn, but he feels pretty durable. Damage towards Piglet. Only down 1/3 of his HP. Re-ult comes across, not gonna find a knockup either there as well. Huni's self-ults, low health bars, but over the wall they go, looking for the re-engage, not gonna find it. 1 for 0, Golden Guardians yet again. Vulcan holds the front line, but for how long? The health bar's getting low. They finally get the kill on a Haunter. It's a 4v4. The Rockets do a lot in the backline, but definitely quite low as well. This time they find Contracts. The ult's not gonna find Purchase, but there's Requiem. It could be big, but it's not any kills until the Rocket turns back around on the support. But it's a 3 versus 3. The storm has been weathered. Baron will time out, but Golden Guardians likely to receive that Drake.
Yeah, really well played fight there from Clutch to hold on. Piglet getting so much damage down on Haunter, dodging out the Ornn ultimate with his own ultimate, that Killer Instinct, and Syndra. Damonte moving forward, throwing his ultimate down on Deathly, zoning him out so he cannot continue forward in that fight. And despite those great plays, it is still an even trade in the Dragon going over the way. But watch Haunter here on the side, taking a lot of damage from Piglet. Piglet trying to move forward pretty aggressively, then using the Killer Instinct back behind Haunter, getting him very, very low. And a really nice headbutt. That was intentional, knocking him back into the squad, then flash 4-man pulverize there from Vulcan. You can see Damonte steps up and actually gets the ultimate down onto the Jinx, pushing him out of the fight and allowing them to then turn and kill off Contracts.
The fact that Lyra doesn't even die, despite the fact that Rek'Sai committed to go to try to get that kill. Lyra, of course, healing up with Triumph and withstanding Requiem there, but it does mean MR needs to come in pretty soon for Clutch Gaming because Karthus is still powering up. Level 16 is next for him with an Ornn upgrade on the way pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's already at those 3 completed items. He's got 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. Jinx is working very quickly towards the Bloodthirster. So strong at this point in the game, and definitely is sitting on the Flash, which is incredibly important for Jinx. Tahm Kench also having Flash. Those are 2 things you really have to take into account. Knight's Vow is there. Locket is coming in. There's so much protection for this Jinx. It's hard to see, how he can get taken down without, miraculous play from Clutch or a serious misposition error from him.
And as you saw, this game was pretty much neck and neck through the first 15 minutes. Slight laning phase lead to Clutch. The Ocean Drake certainly added up, but the kills were keeping it close. And then as team fights broke out, it just kind of broke away from them. And sadly, Clutch have a lot of work still to do. This was their easiest remaining match in the schedule, and they had to make stuff up to make the playoff run. This was the, 4th place finisher from the spring split. Had a rough summer, revamped roster, and it's sadly for them looking like more of the same as we start closing out the spring split of 2019. One of the new squads in LCS.
And for Golden Guardians, they have never made playoffs in their entirety. They have only finished twice in 10th, right?
Yeah.
So this is already a much better split than they have ever had. They're working towards those playoffs, and they are within reach. Grabbing a win here certainly would mean a lot to Golden Guardians' playoff hopes.
Golden Guardians only got 7 wins all last year. This game would be number 7 just partway through the single split. And they're one of the favorites to indeed make playoffs. They're tied for that 5th through 7th spot right now. And they would improve to alone at 5th for the time being with a win right here, and they're poised to do so. 6,000 gold ahead. Baron is back alive, and look at this vision. There's so little that Clutch can see. You can see the control wards, the regular wards sweeping these stuff out. Golden Guardians going to make this an incredibly hard choice for Clutch to navigate. They've got to do so blind for most of this.
Yeah, and that's why, Clutch has that midline priority, though. They're trying to use that as a way to get over to this pit. Huni has stuck around behind, so he is looking for a potential miracle flank. If he can get over the wall into the middle of all of these members, but he's spotted out by Tremor Sense, so should have been noticed over that wall. We'll see if Golden Guardians was watching that area and did actually spot him.
That's the right play right there. With the bottom inhibitor dead, they know they can force Clutch to react because the game will end by itself. This will end without intervention, so something has to break. Something must give, and it's Clutch saying, you know what? We have to go back to our base. We must defend this. The waves will keep dying. And as those recalls come through, maybe they weren't spotted, but they do know what, with seeing Huni here, that they can go right back onto the Baron, and indeed they will do so after the wave clear. But now it's a 4 versus 5 defense. Can they make this steal? Headclash to go into the front line. Vulcan's gonna try, but not just yet. 2,000 on the Baron, baiting out the fight, forcing the TP. There's the headbutt, the pulverize, the ult burned as well, but it's an easy disengage. Golden Guardians, triple ocean. They can weather this forever and walk right back to the base.
And look at the mini-map here. Minions in the base in multiple locations, being able to knock away at those inhibitors. That was the TP from Huni. And Golden Guardians is just making the rush over to the inhibitor. They're just going to try to knock it straight down.
That's the kind of Baron you want to see from a team that wants to make playoffs, wants to improve this year. That was the right play. It forces it out of Clutch Gaming. Lyra in the front line, Piglet to join. Can they find the kill? They shut down 1, they shut down 2. Ornn Horde comes across for double knockups, and they get 2 right back for it. It's a 3v3 on the map, but the map state, of course, still catastrophic. There's still dead inhibitors and minions flooding in.
Yeah, Froggen and Contract split off from the rest of the team, and they are made to pay for it as Piglet is able to get that shutdown onto Froggen, a big one for him. But this 3-man squad from GGS is certainly incredibly strong, and Piglet may be going down here.
The knock-up, Jinx Rocket! One more shot, he's almost got him! But Hanson's gonna stay alive. A quick long-range shot lands. Damonte a bit low as well. And of course, Ole should still have Devour. There should not be an assassination attempt, and you can see the ult not committed. They know it would mean nothing.
And the regen is going to be kicking in here for Haunter. Triple Ocean. You can see those health bars ticking up. They're heading over to the 6th dragon of the game for them.
Yeah.
Cloud will be the last one coming out. It's been a while since I've seen 6. 5 is normally the most you ever get to before Elder, but this would be a monstrous Elder Dragon if they get there.
And I believe 6 is the most you can get of elementals because of how long it takes to respawn, and you can't kill them in 0 seconds flat. So very powerful in this regard. As watch that 5v5 from earlier.
Yeah, here this is one more time. You can see the 2 members sectioned off from Golden Guardians a little bit far up away from the remaining members of the squad, but due to the massive gold lead, they can still turn around and take the fight. The Jinx ult knocking down 1, Karthus ultimate knocking down Lyra. It is the 2 for 2. They do get the inhibitor in the extended trade. Clutch just fighting such an uphill battle, even with great engages, even with great plays in these fights. They are taking 5v5s in which their champions are outclassed, and they are certainly down in gold.
Oh, they're going to find another fight here on a contract. Guardian Angel popped, and Haunter has to watch out for this one. Ole far away. This is certainly going to be a kill on the Rex side. Tries to tunnel over, but no. Acathian Rain is going to knock that one down. 5v4 Clutch have maybe started him out the comeback.
Yeah, an incredible job, honestly, from Clutch, finding these picks, finding these split-offs, and they're going to go in for the engage.
They're going to try 5v4. They got the stun. They're going to try to burn down Karthus, and they get it. So now it is a 5v3. Golden Guardians had the control, and they get that single kill, but definitely must be the carry. Rocket! Oh, it's not going to find Piglet, not by the hair of his chinny chin chin. He's going to get away, and now Golden Guardians, do they feel comfortable sieging a 4v3? What a play! Definitely doing the heavy lifting in the long range late game. 3v3 onto the map, but there's no smite for them. Lyra has it. Do they feel like they can zone the squad out and go for Baron anywhere? They're going to try.
Yeah, they see Lyra on the map just now as he is over by those minions. They can rush this down so incredibly fast with the Jinx. I think it's gone before he can even get in range.
Yeah.
Definitely taking the game into his hands there. Flash, Rocket, the zap coming through. He picks up the kill. And that high attack speed ramping up the zap cast time in this late game. That is a big play for him to make.
Definitely has been starting to index towards defensive stats so he doesn't get one shot by that Syndra. The one chance in is killing the Jinx, and Bloodthirster's a gigantic shield. He's already running overheal. That Hex Drinker going to be really crucial in that one, as well as the Magi's is stacking up to 14. Demonte is getting more powerful, though.
He definitely is, and you do have to say, despite that being a great play, he is now flashless. That is the window in for Clutch. That is their saving grace, so to speak. They have to be looking at this Jinx, trying to get on top of him, trying to be able to delete him at the start of the fight, and then maybe, just maybe, you can make something happen. A lot of the focus in these last couple fights, though, has been on Froggen, who is playing without his Zhonya's, and that is pretty standard. A lot of the best Karthus players are okay utilizing that passive, dying off at the start of the fight, and continuing to pump out damage, but they may want to try to swap that over to Deathly now that he has no flash.
About 800 gold till Froggen can finish his death cap. The Baron, of course, on most of these players, but not all. And we watch an early fight, a start of fight. Requiem gets some decent damage out of Cross, and Piglet, yes, quite a bit low. Trying to lifesteal back up, but has very little for that. Only the Vamp Scepter, as he's down to about 1/3, and it means that he can continue. Demonte's at half, and that's going to be him burning his flash. The Rocket comes across. A nice knock up there. Redemption buys some time, though. Inhibitor still going to drop. This could be the push right now. They've still got minions, and only a single turret. The shots come through. Clutch Gaming must stop them. The turret's already gone. On towards the Karthus, but he can't keep the fear. On the front line, Alistar's already dead, and it's 5v4 without a front line. What can Piglet do? The damage might just not be there. Golden Guardians are going to tie their wins for the entire last year as Huni pops the Zhonya's, finds a single stun, but they don't even kill Froggen. There's the death of the top laner. There's another kill as well as Piglet is dropped, and Golden Guardians will indeed do it. They will find their 7th win. They'll pad the KDA, and for now, they remain in playoff position.
Very strong game here from Golden Guardians as they'll grab one more kill before finishing off the Nexus. 9-0-5 from Deathly, stepping up when they needed it, getting that big kill onto Huni that let them get that final bear and close out this game. But it felt like they were in full control the whole way through, had the scaling edge in the 5v5, were able to get those early Ocean Dragons to help them through the laning phase, and I think they played this one out very, very well.
9-0-5, 1,000 gold bounty onto him. Really good stuff out of that Jinx in the bottom lane. Not a lot of champions banned away, but they got rid of some of the aggro ones like Kalista and said, all right, from here I can scale. They bullied the lane, they got the pressure, they got the Drakes because of the lane shove, they got plates because of it as well. And that 2-on-2, it's It's been a lane that's had some really heavy ups and downs. Ole, smile on his face, he's part of that one. But this was a laning win from the bottom lane and a team fight win from the bottom lane as well.
Certainly the case. And you have to say that Lissandra really never got the edges that you would want from a range versus tank matchup. And Huni went for Klepto. He was never able to really get ahead and farm over Haunter. Certainly a big part of that is the Ocean Dragon being able to sustain through that. But credit to Haunter playing it out well in the laning phase, not giving up any major edges whatsoever, and then being effective in that team fight stage. It felt like he was able to create so much pressure by zoning for the rest of the carries, allowing them time to get their work done.
So Golden Guardians now only a game and a half behind FlyQuest at 4th. They cannot catch TSM at 3rd, but a 4th seed would be, of course, better standings overall in this playoff run. Of course, we could still see CLG, Optic, and maybe a couple other teams try to catch them here in this playoff race as well. That's still to be played. But Golden Guardians sitting at 7 wins with 2 to play. It does seem like we've expected for maybe the last couple of months that they're playoff bound at this point. They have generally felt pretty solid overall. This was fairly close. There were some good team fight movements in the middle for clutch game, but overall, Golden Guardians were the better team on the day. And now for more on that victory, obviously standing by with the victorious top laner.
Thanks, Freak. Haunter, congratulations on the win. Now, you guys, we saw once again a team fight coming out for Golden Guardians. So what makes that comp work so well with your team?
After yesterday, we had like a huge discussion. Like, our comp didn't really make sense. We couldn't fight that well together. And so going into today, we wanted to make sure we could win those team fights. And we felt like that was the easiest way for us to play the game, and it worked out.
It did work out. I mean, those triple Ocean Drakes definitely helped too, but I wanted to draw a little bit of attention to you in the top lane because there was some questionable Ornn ults going on. So what happened there?
Well, Ornn wasn't a pick I practiced a lot, but I felt it was a good situation. And yeah, I whiffed a few ultis. I felt bad. It was pretty embarrassing, especially the one on top tower. That was like probably the worst one.
People still love you. Some of us were scratching our heads, but regardless, with this win, you guys are sitting in a pretty position to kind of make playoffs. Next weekend, I believe you have Optic and FlyQuest as your opponents, and those are going to be some good matches. What do you think about your chances?
I think our chances are almost like 100%. Like next week, our opponents, they're also in a very similar position to us, but I feel we'll have the edge.
Well, Haunter, thank you, and wishing you and Golden Guardians best of luck in perhaps getting to your guys' first playoffs. And that's it for us here. Let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Confidence coming out of the Golden Guardians squad as their playoff picture looks better and better with this win here over Clutch Gaming. Let's talk about the team compositions. Avli tossed the question over to him. Why is it the team fighting comps work so well for this squad? But more so what I'm interested in is how these two team comps ultimately interact when we get to that phase of the game.
I do also want to go back to the point you mentioned, why teams go back to team fighting comp. All the time, if you can never make it past the early, past the mid game, any part you ever struggle, the answer, pick a team fighting comp, and then everything is so much easier because the solution is simply figure out how to team fight as opposed to how do we manage multiple lanes? How do we manage objectives with a split push or with a poke? Just team fight. It's so easy.
I feel like they're making a mistake if they're trying to pick like a Nocturne, Lissandra kind of comp. Those are very good at picking one person off in a team fight. If you're going to do that, you should try and drop a ban on Tahm Kench. You see time and time again that teams keep picking Tahm Kench to keep their AD carry alive or their mid laner alive. And that's a very strong thing for those teams. So get the Tahm Kench out of there, and then you can have a strong dive comps.
Yeah, and it was especially for Ole. I think it's by far his best champion in the split. And I think he had another great game on it, making sure that he was always the target of their engages, or he was saving Jinx the few times they did look at her.
All right, let's take a look at how Lear did in the early game. A couple ganks coming out for him, but I know we had some criticisms as well in where he chose to throw some of his attention.
Yeah, this is such a hard dive to follow off in the ball lane. You saw Vulcan have to go onto Tahm Kench immediately to try and separate it so the Nocturne could kill the Jinx, but this was extremely telegraphed. They've been hovering down around there for a while, and it's such a strange position to spend your first Nocturne ultimate, and when it's so much easier to go mid.
Yeah, mid is so free, and best of all, they had so much vision elsewhere that I feel like this lane is just, it's so easy. Look, if you're playing Nocturne and you've got Red Smite, you can one-shot Karthus on your own if you catch him, because you know Froggen is taking your chickens. You gotta protect the coop, man.
Protect them chickens. I mean, so that was the first time we saw that play happen. But in actuality, it could have been the second time if he had used that first ultimate towards the mid lane the first time.
You're
around.
so free in the vision red side. All you need to do is just wait. Okay, they've left this area. I can literally ult mid from here, go for a dive. Karthus doesn't have an exhaust. You can tower dive. You have a spell shield to actually get you on the way out. Syndra can practically solo it. You always have to think of what is the easiest lane to gank, like for you to kill and do damage, as opposed to what makes more sense for what my team is asking or what my team thinks we should do. It's like, no, I got to think for myself first. Can I get an advantage?
Yeah, without a doubt. Hi, now I want to dive into the point you were making, which was some of the questionable targetization of champions here from Clutch onto the Golden Guardians. We'll see it in our first replay here in the mid lane. That's not correct.
I think you gotta hit that button.
Boom.
Yeah, here we go.
Hi's got it for me.
Right.
There we go, buddy.
He understands better than I do.
Like we said earlier, you can't really engage onto their backline because Tahm Kench eats them, but that doesn't mean you engage on the Tahm Kench here. And Mark had a really big point that he wanted to bring up here.
Yeah, look at the timing on this Tahm Kench Devour. It's right after Lissandra starts casting her ultimate, and if you are able to kind of disjoint that in the middle of the cast, it actually puts on a short cooldown, and it doesn't go off. So they lose the potential AoE damage, the CC is not going to go through, and now Huni can't self-ult himself. So it's just basically an ultless Lissandra flank, gets blown up, and from there they're able to turn this fight around very quickly. And this is to Hi's point about you probably just should have ulted the Tahm Kench because you know he's going to devour the. Even if you got the cast off, you're still.
I'm
going
gonna one-up that. Go back to the point. You gotta ban that Tahm Kench because you know Olay has been feeding on a few other picks. Get him off Tahm Kench. He's doing work.
Right, and it's just, you'll watch throughout this entire game, they had about 6-ish engages where Nocturne ultis onto Olay, and it hasn't panned out for them once. There was one time he did ulti Karthus, you know, that's where we showed earlier, and they got the kill. Yeah. Why don't you just keep doing that instead of trying to go for this Tahm Kench that is actually really hard to kill? And later on, there's going to be a replay that actually shows that as well. They get a free pick onto contracts, and then instead of going towards the Baron, they once again ulti onto Olay and try and pick him again. Why do you not just get the free jungle kill right here, come back to Baron, force GGS to come over to you? One, they might not be willing to because they don't want to take a 4v5. Two, if they do, you get a better engaging fight. And three, if they don't, you just get a free Baron. Instead, they're like, hey, we gotta kill. Let's kill people. Let's kill, 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 kill.
And the Baron would have been so beautiful because you have to always utilize the utility that Nocturne brings to Paranoia. You're dropping a thing that says you can't even look where you want to see. Come into the pit now. Do you want to take a fight? Blind, and that's so difficult. We already saw today how hard it is to go into Baron against a Nocturne. You have these tools in your hand, and I just think that Clutch is tunnel visioning way too much on getting an engage against a Tahm Kench as opposed to taking the path of least resistance.
Yeah, I think you could see the objective focus out of Golden Guardians coming out much more useful. The fact that they grabbed all 5 of those Drakes early on, despite not really having pressure, the fact that Contracts died level 2 in the early game sort of put them behind, but they still came out ahead way in Dragons, and the Ocean Drakes and Mountain Drakes made the rest of the game very easy.
Objectives wins games. Kills kinda not so much.
Right, continued
Take
struggles
the Baron,
for
guys. What are you
Clutch Gaming
doing?
Squad. Golden Guardians, though, they're looking strong here, moving towards the postseason. Up next, Optic Gaming faces Cloud9. Game 2 is coming up after this.